Hey, record-loving friends, it's Brian from tokyorecordstyle. I am back at the Sogetsu School of Ikebana, and I wanted to come back here and give you an update on the beautiful bamboo Ikebana installations that I saw last week. They are out here in front of the school. I explained that the last time that they put them up last year when I caught them, they changed very quickly, and let me report on that here in a second. But before I do, up here in the upper gallery, I can see some beautiful Ikebana works, probably made by students. And I've never been to the gallery in the daytime, but I would like to visit and see some of these artworks. They look pretty exquisite. Now let me show you. The gate here is moved, and now we can look at the structures a little bit more up close and can even walk around them a bit. And actually, I'm quite surprised to see that they didn't actually change as quickly as I thought they would, or as quickly as they did last year. You can see the outside of the bamboo here is, in fact, turning that golden color the same as the inside, but it's taking its sweet time. Last year, it seemed to disappear in a day. Perhaps the bamboo was cut a little bit earlier and installed later than this particular installation was. But it looks just fantastic again. Yeah, you can see it's turning the gold blonde color here. And again, a really wonderful installation by the Sogetsu School of Ikebana. Sogetsu. I don't know what so means. I should know that. Getsu is moon or month. One more thing I want to share with you. I don't know if I'm going to be able to explain this, but the color green. My favorite color is green. And there's green all around me. There's green over here in the park at the, I think as I mentioned, this is a royal residence. Tokyo's pretty green. I always go down the Dori, there's always beautiful new green. They call it shinryoku, the new green of the year. The edges of the new foliage is a slightly more limey green than the richer, deeper edge of the leaf. Green is everywhere in Japanese culture, but there wasn't a word for green a long time ago in Japan. I want to explain that. It's always confused me, and today I think I cracked the code from knowing that traffic lights, for example, there's red, yellow, and blue. They use blue for the traffic light. They say ao shingo. The word for blue is ao, and the word for green is midori. And they have lots of words that for green things that they call blue. Ao togarashi, green, spicy green peppers. Ao ringo, green apples are called blue apples, and many other things. And I've always wondered why this is. Surely they, with beautiful green things like bamboo, they must know the color green, and it's true. The human eye can see 7 million colors, and Japanese are no exception. They have the word for green. However, from the Heian era or long before, when the language was in its infancy, they made the colors in 4 different kind of quadrants: black and white, and red and blue. And I never quite understood this. I always thought, well, why not another primary color? Why not yellow? Surely they could have cracked this chestnut open. But I found out that black and white distinguish the brightness of a tone, where red and blue distinguish a temperature of the color. Things that were yellow or orange are in the red side of the scale, and things that are blue and green are on the cold side of the scale. This is very, very interesting, and it was during the early 1900s, during the Meiji Restoration. I think the crayons were brought to Japan in 1917. Also after the war, there was a push to sort of make a more simple and formalized system of color. Japan had taken the quadrant system, black and white and red and blue, and they turned it into this massive system of 500 different colors. Boy, I'm having a hard time explaining this. Let me back up for a second. Indigo. You guys know the art of Japanese indigo, the blue izome dye, where they dye the beautiful fabrics and clothes and teneguis and kimonos. The art of indigo dyeing takes mulberry leaves, I think, and they ferment them. They extract this really deep blue dye from them, and then they keep them in these sort of wine type casks, and it ferments for a long time, and they stir it, and it's got a smell about it, and you come and you dip your fabrics in it, and it turns them blue. And depending on how long you soak it in the indigo dye, or how many times you immerse it in the dye, the deeper and richer the bluer will become. When you look at dyes and you look at clothes, garments that are dyed in indigo colors, they say that you can tell a person's wealth by how rich and how deep the indigo dye is. And they somehow formalize the 72 different shades of blue indigo dye the same way that they categorize the 72 micro seasons of the year. There's all this minuscule delineation that pays a lot of attention to detail, as you might expect from a Japanese subculture like this. So it's not surprising to find out that one of those 72 tones or 51 tones or however many it is of those indigo dyes, some of them very lighter, only slightly dipped, lessly dipped garments come out quite actually looking green. They look green in color. So I did my best. Japanese often have these words ao ringo or ao togarashi, and they're sort of remnants of a time when there weren't formalized words for green. They were different shades of blue and different shades of colder temperatures. So so anyway, this is bamboo is green. Maybe there's an old word for bamboo that calls different things that are made with bamboo blue. I don't really know. But our bamboo right now is still very green. The stalks are certainly sort of still green. And it looks like the gold and the yellow might be more in the red, warmer quadrant. So maybe there's a different word. Maybe there's some kind of transition. We'll find out. And I'll come back in a week's more time, because this transition didn't happen as quickly as it did last year. And I think we're kind of at a halfway mark, and I'll be curious to see what it looks like in another week when I come back here and take my kid to school again. But I thought I would take this chance I dug through my record collection this morning looking for records that might have been inspired by some Ikebana sort of thinking. There were so many records with flowers on them, but none of them had quite the sense of Ikebana and the Sogetsu tradition, which I read about. I'll link to the last video that I made. I'll link to it in the show notes. So I forewent that, and instead I brought an artwork by my friend Miro. I've talked about Miro quite a lot, and this is a beautiful artwork that he has made. It's a blue flower, and I think it might be, I'm not quite sure. It could be a peony, it could be a chrysanthemum. It could even be like a rose that petals have all sort of sharpened the way that they do when they get quite matured and old. Quick addendum, I just found out, Miro just sent me a message. It's the dahlia. Sure, but it's very, very beautiful. And my friend Miro is a visual artist who lives down in Osaka, and he's responsible for this notion of blue identity. He depicts his favorite artists in these blue motifs, and I have a bunch of his stickers. I'm an official ambassador of blue identity, owl identity. He's got artists like Don Drummond, who I just showed, Little Richard and Nina Simone and Jimi Hendrix, and cool, interesting people who have been outspoken advocates of music and art and of community and of people, really, because the notion is that we discriminate against black, white, red, yellow, but we don't discriminate against blue. So blue is freedom, blue is noble, blue never racial discrimination. So I just thought I would pull that out. It had some connection to this, and I love this piece by Miro, and I love being an ambassador of blue identity, and it was fun to talk about blue and green today. And I want to encourage you that if you send me a DM, I will send you a sticker, not only from Miro. I have a bunch of these blue identity stickers, but I also have a Tokyo Record Style sticker. I'll send you a Tokyo Record Style Have a Nice Play sticker, which is yellow, which goes on the red side of the spectrum. Okay, guys. you know, throwing spaghetti at the wall, but it's fun. So we'll come back in another week's time, and just as a goof, we'll enjoy this installation a little bit more. I really, really dig it. It's really beautiful. Let me get one more good look at it. Yeah, it's spectacular. I sort of talked about a yin and yang, a masculine and feminine, alpha and omega. The two forms are talking to each other in a way. It's very beautiful. And yes, it is turning, not as quickly, but it's very nice. And the last week's green is now turning gold, and we'll have another look at it in a week. So thank you, Sogetsu School of Ikebana. Ikebana is life. More Ikebana, more life. All right. Until next time. I'll see you back here in a week's time. Okay, bye.